Are we?
Yeah, we're
Hi.
live.
Yay!
Hi, everyone, or anyone watching. Alright, I guess we should go down the line and introduce ourselves. So, Allison, go first.
Hey guys, I'm Allison from Book Gossiper.
Now, Erica.
Oh, hi, I'm Erica from Fangirl City.
Katie.
Hi, I'm Katie from Cat Skyrider 24.
Lauren.
Oh, me. This one? I'm Lauren Miller. Yay! I wrote Free to Fall.
Yay. And Sandy.
Hi, I'm Sandy from Sandy Reads a Lot.
Sophia.
Hi, I'm Sophia from the Book Basement.
And I'm Maddie from Two Book Teens. So, if you're watching, you're on my channel, so I guess you kind of already know who I am. So today we were lucky enough to be graced with the appearance of Lauren Miller, the author of Free to Fall, as the book we are going to be discussing today. And so this first 30 minutes is going to be a Q&A session with Lauren Miller. So if you have questions, please don't hesitate to ask them in the Q&A section. Yay!
Yay!
Alrighty, do y'all want to just go down the line and say our feelings about the book first?
Yes, please do that. I want to hear all of your feelings about the book. Go.
Yeah, Allison, you can go first.
Okay, I really liked the book. I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I did. The characters, I really enjoyed the characters as well, especially North. He was just really, he seemed so sexy in my head.
Yay.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
He was sexy in my head, too, so we have that in common.
Mm-hmm. And like I just found out all of the secrets revealed. I sort of saw them coming, but I was still surprised. And it was just really good. I really liked how it turned out.
Cool.
Erica.
Oh, okay. I really liked it. The beginning was a little slow, but by the end, it really picked
I
up.
want to hear.
And I liked how it was kind of a mystery, but I did figure out some of the stuff, but it was still interesting. So.
Hey.
Katie.
Okay, I really liked the book as well, and I really loved the idea of like the concept behind the app kind of controlling what people do. And I felt like kind of the book posed a lot of like interesting questions about technology in our society, and I thought that that was really good because a lot of YA books you kind of just read and they don't really make you think, but I thought that this book really made me think a lot, and I really enjoyed that aspect of the book.
Very cool.
Woo. Sandy.
I really enjoyed the book. I love the world that you have created, and I love how technology played such a major aspect of the story.
Cool.
Sophia.
I think I'm on a similar track as Katie. I thought the concept was probably my favorite part. There was just a lot of thought put into the novel, which I really appreciated, and it does keep you thinking, like, throughout the whole thing. So.
Good. That was the point, so I'm glad it worked.
Oh, okay, I guess it's my turn. I really enjoyed the book. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. And one of my favorite things, like everyone said, or like Katie and Sophia said, was definitely how it made me think, because it made me realize I spend a lot of time on my phone and would probably burst into tears if anything were to happen to it, because it's a basic means of communication for me, and it's how I've connected with all of you, and without it, I wouldn't have been able to. So it made me think about that, as well as I really enjoyed how much I related to Rory, because one, she has a peanut allergy, and so do I, which seems like a small thing to relate to her to, but it is. And also, she's addicted to her phone. I am as well. And she goes to a gifted academy. I don't go to a gifted academy, but I am in gifted at my own school. So it was really interesting to see her thought process playing out in the book and see how it was sort of similar to my own. So that's cool. Ooh, we have 3 viewers. Is the Q&A thing working for y'all? It's not working.
No, it says it's disabled.
Why is it not working? Okay, so I guess we don't have a Q&A on here, but you can ask questions in the comments on the YouTube video. I don't know why it's not working. I set it up before I went live. I don't really know. Okay, if we don't have any questions right now, if y'all have any questions for Lauren, we can ask her.
Yes, please do. Come up with something.
Okay, I have a question. How did you come up with the idea for the app kind of like controlling everything? Because I thought that was really cool and it was a very unique idea.
Well, so the book really started with this idea that we believe as a society that the happier we are, the better our lives are, right? And so I wanted to start from a world where people were happy, or the world's definition of happy, which we've come to accept, like not sitting in traffic and having food that tastes good and like not seeing a movie that you don't like. That is happiness. We've kind of made it, will our day go smoothly, right? So I was like, okay, I want to build a world where people can have that. So that's where the first idea for Lux came in. You know, I'm going to build this app that will use technology to give them that sense of happiness. But then, as long as they were choosing to listen to this app, which itself I think was a cool premise, the idea that people are willingly letting this app decide for them, like, that's cool in itself. That didn't push it to the extreme enough for me. Like, I wanted to look at the people in power and the people behind technology and the people that are controlling all the data that we put on Facebook and we put in social media and that we you know, put in all the apps that we use. Like, I wanted to push it to the extreme and think, if they wanted to do something really nefarious with everything, all the control that they have, what would they do? And how would they do it? So that was like the starting point for how I got to Lux and being controlled by the nanobots and people being literally addicted to their phones. It was me just, I think, trying to create an extreme situation to look at the what if that I was wondering about. So.
That's really cool.
I have a question. It's pretty simple, but where did you get your ideas for North's and Hershey's name? Because I really love those two names, especially Hershey.
Thank you. So Hershey is actually a funny story. So I decided to let my, at the time, 7-year-old niece name a character in the book. So I described Hershey to her. Hershey didn't have a name at this point. And she told me there was a girl in her class, I mean, she was 7 at the time, named Hershey. And I was like, really? Her name is Hershey? She's like, yes. And she reminds me of your character, Hershey. So I was like, okay, I'll name her Hershey. And I liked it because Hershey in the book is like tied to money and privilege, and I feel like Hershey's a last name that could be used as first name, and that's like a rich thing to do. People do that. So anyway, I liked it. I then found out, like, after I was all the way, the train had left the station, that the girl's name was actually not Hershey. The girl in her class's name, she was Indian, and her name was Hersey, but my niece just mispronounced it and thought it was Hershey, like Hershey's chocolate. So I named it after a girl who didn't really exist. That was funny. But I think the name is totally works, and it just kind of fits her. Like, at that point, I couldn't even change it, you know. And then North is funny. There was this guy I went to college with. I'm sure he's not tuned into the live show, whose name was Forth, F-O-R-T-H. And he was not at all like North in terms of personality, but in terms of like who I pictured this guy Forth. But the name Forth is kind of weird. And so North just popped in my head, and I thought of a guy like North who is really oriented like a compass, you know, towards what's right and towards his purpose, and it just seemed to fit. So rhyming with Forth and then like the North Star compass idea seemed to fit his character.
That makes so much sense.
Well, and then, you know, Kim and Kanye named their daughter North, and it was like, I had the name first, but my book isn't coming out until after your baby. They're going to think I stole it based on your baby, but no, it was like that long ago.
Where did you come up with the name Northern Pascal?
So the Pascal thing was a shout out to Blaise Pascal, who's just a scientist and philosopher that I really like. And my husband and I were talking about naming one of our kids something with Blaise or Pascal, and we're like, no, we can't be those people who name a kid Pascal. So I decided to use it in the book instead. So that's where it came from.
That's good. That's funny.
But often in my writing, there are like shout outs to you know, sometimes friends or whatever, but to like philosophers or scientists, because I write this sort of sci-fi, but grounded in real science kind of genre. So there are little nods here and there throughout the story to people and ideas, which is part of the fun process of writing, getting to layer those things into your story. I like it.
Where did you get the idea for practicum class? Like, I thought the idea for that was really intense and interesting because that would be such a cool class to have, but also a horrible class to have because you'd have to pick people who had more worth than others, and I think that'd be so difficult, but so telling of your character.
Totally. It's funny, I did an interview a few weeks ago, and they assumed, it was this older woman who interviewed me, and she assumed I had modeled this class after some famous professor who teaches, I think at NYU or Columbia or something. And she thought, you know, I used him as inspiration, and I had never heard of the guy, which is funny. No, it started with I really wanted these kids to be learning and doing ethics problems because this book is really about, for me, at the heart of it, the difference between knowledge and wisdom, and knowledge being the accumulation of facts, and then wisdom is knowing what to do with those facts. So, like, knowledge can tell us what is true, but it can't tell us what we ought to do. And we as a society, I think, sometimes act like right and wrong and what we ought to do is very clear-cut, and we forget that it's not. And I think the first time you're put into a real ethics dilemma like you would study in a philosophy class, you realize that there are no clear answers. You know, some of the other ones are like, would you steal medicine for a sick child? Like, you know, the conditional ethics, like those kind of ideas. You know, students aren't learning that stuff unless they choose an elective or, you know, whatever. So I wanted these kids' ethics to be a huge part of the curriculum at Eden. But then I had to set it in the future. So I was like, what would an ethics class look like in the future? And virtual reality and the simulations just had to be, you know, part of it. And then layering on top of that, I needed to bring in the worldview of this school that believes that smart people should be ruling the world and that, you know, they should have the ability to tell other people how to live their lives. So that's where, like, the social utility, treating people like economic items came into play. So it was literally like a layering. Like, it was first ethics, and it was like, okay, I'm going to make it virtual reality and these simulations. Like, and then I got to put the worldview of the school layered in. And it got really fun. Although I'll tell you, the coming up with the explosion on the dock was actually really hard. That was a big bracket in the book for a long time. Like, I knew they had to do a for their midterm that they would do a scenario where Rory needed to not do anything. But I couldn't figure out what to do. Like, I didn't want it to be an earthquake. I didn't want it to be something that no one could have known would happen. Anyway, so that was really hard. It was actually probably the last scene I wrote after the whole book was done. I, like, finally nailed what that was and then went back and put it in.
Reading that, I was kind of just like, how is she gonna solve this? I mean, they're people and they're children, and
How do you do it? Yeah, totally.
yeah. We have a question actually on the video, which is cool. Some I-turned pages said this question is not necessarily about the book itself, but what advice would you give to young writers who want to be an author someday?
Oh, good. I've never had that question before. No, I love this question. My first advice, and not all authors give this advice, but it's my, like, I cannot emphasize this strongly, is to know how your book is going to end before you even start writing it. To have a really solid outline before you even begin. And I think how you want to structure a book and how you want to do that outline is totally up to the individual writer. You know, a lot of people use these, like, Save the Cat type books that came out for screenwriting. They'll use it for novel writing, and they have these 15 specific beats that must happen in a story. If that's helpful for you, then totally do that. But your outline might be like a stream of consciousness, like 3 pages where you just brain dump, like, what your character does and what their conflict is and how it ends up. You know, whatever the outline looks like for you is fine, but know where you're going. Know the story that you're trying to tell before you try to tell it. That's probably my biggest advice. But the other thing I think is that a lot of writers think that the secret to making it or getting a book published is to come up with a great idea. But a great idea is not going to sell your novel because there are so many great ideas, and actually there actually aren't that many great ideas. So it's kind of both at the same time. There are a lot of people who have them, but nothing is really that new. What is new is the way that you execute an idea, and that all comes down to voice. Your voice as a writer and the way that you sound on the page, but also the perspective and the point of view that you're communicating by the choices that you make in your writing style, but also in the kind of story that you're telling and how your characters talk and all that stuff. So if you want to write but have no idea what you would write about, I would sit down and try to figure out what makes you, you. Like, you are a person with a biology unlike anybody else and a life experience unlike anyone else. So, like, how does that make you the perfect person to tell this story? And once you figure out what this story is, the story that only you can tell, I think that's your first novel for any writer. And then once you've written one novel, the second one's like so much easier to write. So just get the first one done and you'll downhill from there.
That gives me hope to be an author someday.
Yeah, it's like seeing behind the curtain. Once you figure out how to do it, you just get better at it.
Right. I Turn the Pages also asks, why did you feel that you needed to tell this story?
That's an interesting question. Why did I feel like I needed to tell this story? I think that, so I've written 2 novels. The first is entitled Parallel, for those of you who don't know about it. And Parallel is about a girl who is a total control freak who has to learn how to let go of her plan and live in the present and make really good choices because our choices matter, but also realize that you can't control how those choices are going to turn out. So that book was the first book that I needed to write because I was a girl like the protagonist in that story, like Abby. But the other part of me that I needed to work through was this part of me who thought that what society told me was the right life or the right path was the one that I should follow, the one that would bring success and achievement and a steady paycheck and all of those things. And I wanted to tell a story of a girl who was on the path to have all of those things, but realized that life isn't about achievement and success. Life is about something more meaningful, and it's about moments that change you, and it's about connecting with people, and it's about seeing the wisdom and what is true about the world that we live in and kind of following that path. So I think I needed to write this book to remind myself of the things, the lessons that Rory learns as lessons for Lauren to learn. And then once I started that story, it became Free to Fall. And then it, just kind of spiraled into something, a monster conspiracy theory. But it really was just about a girl who needed to learn that there's more to life than staying on the path that leads you to success and achievement.
Would you say that she got a lot of these moments because of North?
I mean, I think I didn't want to make this story about, I mean, the marketing, I think that the cover is really cool and what they say on the back of the book is awesome too, but as you guys know who have read it, this isn't about like choosing love and that being the dangerous choice, right? It's about just choosing the things that kind of call to you and that make you feel more fully alive instead of following like a check mark or a piece of paper on like which guy is right for you or like which friends are right for you or whatever that is. So I think North is a conduit for Rory to experience life more fully because he represents not choosing the guy who looks best on paper, but choosing the guy who makes you think and who values you for who you are. I mean, North does not try to change Rory. He does some like sketchy stalkerish things and tries to protect her in ways that are like a little unkosher. But he doesn't try to make her someone who she isn't, and he doesn't try to fit her into a box, which I think Liam is trying to do. So she experiences those moments through North, but not because of love, but just because he lets her be more fully herself, I think. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Scandalous Books says, what was your favorite scene to write?
Oh, that's a fun one. Let's see, what was my favorite scene to write? Well, I really liked so everyone's read it, right? Because this is the point of this thing, so I have no spoilers. So the final scene in the tomb where, like, it's kind of the standoff between the Dean and Rudd and Rory, and then Hershey's there, like that whole moment, Tarsus takes the dart for Rory. The first version of that scene was actually a lot more gruesome. It just was kind of, more gruesome. Tarsus died in, like, more of a graphic way, and it was, the conversation was, like, just, everything was just, like, elevated. That was super fun for me to write. Harper thought we needed to tone things down a little bit, and we ended up with the scene that you guys read, which I still loved. I loved the rewrite. But it was really fun to write villains, like being villains and being like total jerks and mean and villainous all at once. So that's probably my favorite.
Ooh. Do we have any more comments? Oh, no more comments. When you were writing The Doubt, what did you originally have in mind of the doubt being? Like, was that really supposed to be our intuition as people?
So, the doubt obviously is a huge part of the book, and a lot of people, I think, jump to the conclusion that it's our own inner voice. But Free to Fall imagines that there is something as objective wisdom. Like, there is truth. And what that voice is, I really wanted to leave up to the reader. I wanted to make sure that we knew that it was something almost outside of ourselves. But I didn't want to narrow, because we don't know. We hear inner voices, and that tell us, quit this job, take this class, date this boy. And it's not the same as, our own little inner chatter. We recognize it as being something different. We call it a gut feeling, we call it God, we call it a lot of things. So I wanted to, anyway, leave it open to the reader. But it's definitely that thing. It's not yourself. It's not you talking to yourself. It's not following your heart. It's following something that's true, that is somehow outside of you, if that makes sense.
Sorry, I'm just looking to see if we have more questions. Do you all have any more questions?
Yeah, I actually had a question. I thought it was really interesting how there was so much of John Milton's Paradise Lost in the book. I thought that was a cool addition, and I was wondering how you thought or why you decided to put so much of that in the book.
So part of what I want to do as an author is kind of up the stakes of what we're reading. And by stakes, I don't mean people dying or conspiracies or what happens plot-wise. But I want the books that I write, and I hope I know others do this, but I want the books that I write to tie into the bigger conversations that have been happening in our civilization for, hundreds of years. The same themes that Plato was talking about, that John Milton was writing about, those can be the same conversations that we're having now when we talk about YA books. And so in order to kind of unify those conversations in my book, I literally brought in those materials so that our characters can be talking about them, so we can be talking about them. Because the truth is, the whole scenario that happened in the Garden of Eden that Paradise Lost is about, Free to Fall is in a lot of ways a retelling of that same story. It's this belief that somebody knows better than you. In the garden, it was the serpent, knows better than you what to do. And so you trust that other thing, and in the end, you don't end up more free, and you don't end up more happy. You end up less free and less happy. In Paradise Lost, they get kicked out of paradise. In this book, you get controlled by a nanobot, and your whole life is dictated by somebody else. And yet, you're using this you're using this app on your phone because you think it's going to make you happier. You don't even realize that you're giving up your freedom. Anyway, so I liked the thematic similarities and wanted the book to tie into a conversation that we've had for hundreds of years. Because I think that's interesting. Like, what I love about YA books is the world building is so tremendous, and the stories are so intricate and layered and sometimes fantastical, but in the best sense. I want to make sure that we're also bringing that back to conversations that, like, adults can be having. And conversations that matter to our lives, and they're not just fiction, but they're relevant. So that was the read.
When did you decide that you wanted a lot of the plot to be based on those conspiracy theories that Rory and North were coming up with about Gnosis and Synox? Is that what the other business is called?
Yes, synthetic oxytocin. So the conspiracy thing was actually predated the story. So I wrote television, a few television pilots before I started writing novels, and I had this show that I pitched to AMC, the network AMC, called Milton, that was about a secret society that was kind of controlling government. And I love the whole secret society angle because I went to Yale for college and was in a secret society, and when I was in it at the time, I was like, this thing is seriously crazy. I need to write a book about this. So I always knew I wanted to write something with a secret society in it. So that's the idea of the few and their motivations, believing that they were wise enough to make decisions for everyone and that everyone else shouldn't be able to make their own decisions. That was from Milton and predated the specifics of Free to Fall. The Synox thing with the nanobots and the synthetic oxytocin, actually, and this is another piece of advice for writers, came from an expert that I found online when I was looking. I knew I wanted some sort of brain chemistry to be involved, and I knew I wanted to have some sort of addiction to your phone. I started Googling, and I found this doctor of philosophy in the Midwest who'd written about oxytocin and studies about oxytocin and how it could be used to make people give away their money to strangers. So anyway, I emailed her, and she and I spitballed things, and she basically gave me this idea. We kind of worked it out how it would work, and I just then weaved it into the novel. So anyway, advice to writers: if you're stuck and don't know how your high concept thing's going to work, find someone who works in that field. I mean, for Free to Fall, I talked to a NASA astrophysicist who helped me with the solar storm that happens at the end. And in my first book, Parallel, I talked to astrophysicists who talked to me about the multiverse and my theories about how the worlds would collide. So find an expert, and they're full of ideas and so willing to help. So that's where that came from.
Do we have any more comments? Oh, Joe, do we have any final questions for Lauren? Anybody?
Are you planning on writing any more books, or are you currently working on some?
Yes, I'm currently working on a book right now. In fact, while Maddie was talking earlier, before we started, I was switching over and trying to finish a scene because she gave me an idea.
Oh, I did? That's awesome.
Yeah, fun, yay. Yes, I'm writing a book that sort of has a similar, slight sci-fi hook to it, but this one is set firmly in our world. And the best way to describe it, I think, would be Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind meets, I don't know, Perks of Being a Wallflower, in a way. So it's about a girl who decides to have her visual memories wiped away after she's betrayed by her best friend and boyfriend, and literally has to start seeing the world a new way after this procedure. So I'm excited. It's called All Things New. Does not have a publication date yet, but I'm really excited about it.
Ooh. Well, that sounds interesting. Is it going to have a guy like North in it? Or not like North, but swoon-worthy like North?
Yes, this guy he's more of an artist.
Brooding type?
Skateboarding artist brooder, yeah. Not tattooed mohawk. Slightly more nerdy, probably, but in a good way. Nerdy in the best way. So,
nerds are awesome.
I know, I love nerds, so yes.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Lauren.
Oh, thanks for having me. It was so fun. And I'll leave you guys so you can, download the real thoughts. But yay, thanks for having me, and I'll see you all on Twitter.
All right, bye. Thank you. Bye. That was cool. Yay.
It was so nice.
I know.
Cool.
I am so honored to have inspired a scene. I don't know what I said that inspired a scene, but I guess I inspired a scene. All right, so would y'all like to make some other talking points about the book? Okay. Well, hold on, let me get my book. I put it on that table. Let me see if I can stretch. No, I can't. Okay, hold on.
Is Grace not participating today?
She said she has bad internet connection at her hotel because she's in Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's 7 o'clock.
Who just said that?
That was my laptop.
Oh, tell the laptop. Thank you for telling me what time it is. This is really random, but what does this cover have to do with the book?
I
You
have no
should have
idea.
asked her that, Maddie.
Oh, I don't know. I was just I know authors don't have hands in what the cover looks like normally, but the only thing I can think of is that this weird, you can't see it, but y'all have your own copies of the book. There's weird texture-y looking stuff on the cover, and I guess that could look like how a computer looks when you touch it. You know how a computer looks when you touch it? But otherwise, it's just those book and face things that have no relevance. Just the
It looks kind of like futuristic-y though. Like it looks a little different, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I have to
And
try
it's only on her skin. You know, it's only on her face. It doesn't exceed past it.
Oh, I didn't realize that. We're getting all in-depthy and stuff. In-depthy? I'm so good. Oh, I didn't even realize, but there's like an ear on the flap and hair.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
And her eyelash game is strong,
Very strong.
so we know that. You know. Okay, I love how we're just talking about aesthetics, but I love how it looks without the cover.
It's a very pretty naked book.
These I love this color, and I love this color, and together, these colors will rule the world.
It's a pretty spine too.
Mine's taped on because I got it from the library.
Oh.
But it is pretty.
Peel the tape back. Be a rebel, Erica. Just kidding, don't be a rebel. Don't do that.
I like my library, so.
Oh, I'm looking at my book talk notes. I was gonna film a book talk today, but then I had a headache and was like, meh, book talk. I
I
can't
haven't
speak to
filmed in
myself.
so long. But I actually filmed 2 videos today, so I'm proud of myself.
I filmed 3 book talks in a row last week because I neglect those sometimes. I'll like pick up one book after the other and then realize, hey, I have a YouTube channel and I should probably review this. So I filmed a Siege and Storm book talk, a Cinder book talk, and a Scarlet book talk. And I probably end up talking about some feelings from Siege and Storm in my Scarlet book talk. Who even knows? Who even knows? Okay, I don't know if anyone else had this feeling that I did, but when I read the point in the story when everyone's Lux app was telling them to go outside and watch the lights that were coming on by the solar flare, I started crying. Like, it was a happy cry, and I don't happy cry in books, but it was a happy cry for humanity, because everyone was just coming together as this community and abandoning technology for just a few minutes to watch this thing together, and it was just so powerful, and happy tears. Yeah, I don't know if that happened to anybody else, but
I didn't cry, but
It was very emotional, though. It was like I liked the ending a lot.
I did too, and I like how he got her into a college by like hacking into the system. It's like, you've been accepted into this college. You didn't apply for it, but you accepted. They accepted you.
Yeah.
Oh, one of my notes on my talking points is North is Bay. I think that explains itself.
Yeah. He was very swoon-worthy.
Oh gosh, yes. Let's see if we have any more comments.
How did North? Do you guys know how North was able to afford that apartment in New York? Like when you
He's a
mentioned-
hacker. And he said
Oh,
his
yeah.
clients paid a lot of money for him.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
I mean, like, if you post something stupid on the forum and you want to get it off, wouldn't you? I mean, if you have lots of money to spend and have an image to keep up, I think you'd spend a lot of money on it. I've always wondered what it would be like to be a hacker, just like going into all the computery things, but that would take so much work. Like, that sounds so bad.
So
But-
cool, though. I just started watching a TV show where there's a hacker, so now I'm thinking about that now, too. But it just seems like so cool. Like, I'm not good with technology at all, but it just seems like that would be such a cool thing to be good at.
Yeah, I mean, I know how to use computers, but using computers like North just seems like something that'd be so difficult.
Yeah.
Oh, I really like how Eden Academy ended up being the Eden Academy, like the Garden of Eden, and the Secret Society had the parallel with the snake being the one who actually ended up ruining the Garden of Eden, and so it kind of ruined or shattered the paradise scenario that Rory had in her head of Eden when she realized that the person who runs the Secret Society was literally a serpent. Well, not literally a serpent, but paper mache serpent.
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought it was so cool. Like I said earlier, just like I felt like this book, like I had some issues with it, but I just felt like it was very deep. I don't know if I read like too much into it, but so many stuff I was like, whoa, this is some really cool symbolism. Like I felt like even like some little things were, it was just very well done, in my opinion.
Do you have any examples of that? Like,
I'm trying to think. I don't know. It's been a while since I've read this. I've been cramming summer work in. I don't know. I just think like the whole thing, like the undertone with like technology, and then just all the things like relating to like Paradise Lost and all of that. I just thought it was very. There was a lot of cool parallels and like symbolism.
I'm looking back at my book, and I dog-eared a page, and I can't remember why I dog-eared it, but I think it was probably because I was laughing because she downloaded a ruler app. Like, I was like, where are the rulers? Are there no more rulers? Has this phone company made rulers non-existent? Like, and how would you even measure something with your cell phone? You just get the phone, and you're just like, well, you see, this is one phone, two phones, 2.5. No, it's not a half. 2 and like a fifth of a phone.
I don't know how that would work.
At first, when I started reading this, I didn't really know where it was going to go. I thought it was mainly going to be about her at school and just the technology and her obsession with it, but it all makes sense now, like how everything played into each other. Because at first I was just kind of like, where are we heading with this? Like, Rory, what you gonna do? And then we met North, which was nice. You know.
Do you guys ever think that North was with Hershey?
Yes, a lot of it. I was like, dude, why, man?
Really? I never thought that.
Really?
Like in the beginning when she first started crushing on Rudd, like in the cafeteria, I was like, they're gonna have a thing somewhere in this book. They're gonna have a thing. And it turned out to be true.
I knew that she was gonna end up with that young teacher, but I was worried that she was also with North because she seemed like that kind of person, you know. And I went to an engagement party on the Friday that I was reading this, which was last Friday. And so I was reading it, and I had just finished reading where she had seen the red dress that Hershey was wearing on his apartment floor. And I was just kind of like, wait a second, wait. And then I had to stop reading because I had to go into this engagement party. So I was like, wait, no, I have to figure this out. What happened? Why? It was really forward of her, though, to go to all the way to Cafe Paradiso and be like, hey, North, I'm drunk. Sup?
Yeah.
Hold on. Oh, she was saying, Dr. Tarsis, the first day that they had practicum class, I made a note of this. I was so aggravated at her because she had, Rory jumped in front of the train to stop it, and Dr. Tarsis was yelling at her about having a hero complex, and I was raging inside of my head, obviously, because being selfless does not equal a hero complex. I mean, sure, maybe you want to be remembered as that person who did something good, but having a hero complex, I think, would mean that you want to do something good and then survive it to do other hero thingies.
I don't know. To me, it just seemed like in this society, like that's just kind of like how it was. Like I feel like everyone is so like self-obsessed and always on their phones. So I guess when people actually show some selflessness, people are just like, "What is this? This is not normal." So I guess they label it as a hero complex.
Yeah, I thought I was gonna hate Dr. Tarsis all the time, but I ended up sort of liking her toward the end of the book, but I'm still confused as to why she was so rude in the beginning.
I don't get that either.
Like, was she trying to make, what's it called? Was she trying to make the few make her think that she didn't like her because that was, what was the mom's name? I can't remember the mom's name.
Aviana.
Yeah.
Oh, Aviana, like, did she want to make the few think that she didn't like Aviana's daughter because of this? Oh, speaking of Aviana and things, Griffin was her father. I did not see that coming.
I saw that coming.
I figured it out, like, as they were figuring things out, like, as she was figuring it out, and so I was just like, wait a second. But then, when he said he had to go and talk on the live show, I was just like, oh, you're not going to be able to continue this talk. Something's going to happen. And, you know, he has a stroke at 30-something. It's like, dude.
Yeah, 35.
Like, dude, what the heck? How? Nanobots and all that. Ooh, we have a question. Someone, Key, read that, and etc. Says, what was each of you girls' favorite scene to read? That's an interesting question, actually.
Do we want to go down the line for this one?
Yeah.
Can you skip me?
Okay.
I have to think about this.
Okay, Erica.
Oh, okay. Probably the masquerade ball. I love masquerade balls, just like the whole concept. And then, I don't know, it wasn't even like a big part of the book. I just liked it.
Katie.
Okay, I really liked the end. I thought that it was just a very good end to the book. I feel like lately I've read so many books where I just hated the ending, and I read this one and I was like, I am satisfied with this, and I thought it was really well written, and it was very, like, symbolic, and I thought it was great.
Sandy.
I loved it when she was taking the midterm with the simulations because I think that was like really fascinating, trying to see how she would figure everything out and try to pass.
Sophia.
I think my favorite was the very first simulation and how they mentioned that it was a popular one, that it was a well-known one, because after reading that, I looked it up. And I thought it was really interesting.
Wait, the first simulation, like when she jumped in front of the train?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wait, so it was a real thing?
Yeah.
Oh!
It was.
Yeah, there's like a lot of these like types of things where it's like it's kind of questions like this, like ethics questions. I know sometimes when my friends and I are bored, we do them, and it's kind of like there's no really good no good answer to the question, but you kind of have to pick like which one you think is right or what you would do.
Yeah. I think my favorite was probably the ending, like Katie said, but more specifically the scene when everyone was looking up from their phones and looking at the sky, like all the tears for humanity, all the happy tears, and also it makes me think of that thing you posted on Twitter today, Katie, that look up video. I've actually seen that. My dad sent out like a mass text to all of me and my siblings, and he was like, you should you should watch this and understand it. I was like, yeah, I get it. I spend a lot of time on my phone. I know.
Yeah, that video was great. But yeah, for anyone who hasn't seen the video, it's a video called Look Up, and it's basically about how people are like too attached to technology, and it's a great video.
The YouTubers react to that. It's hilarious.
I haven't seen it.
Someone was just like, well, you want me to, and then at the end it says like, look up from your phones, close your laptops, and I can't remember what person was on it, but he slammed his laptop closed and went, alright, I did it. It's made me really definitely, like, this book, think about how much I use technology, though it has made me think I have not stopped using it because I need it, I think, especially with homework. Like, now teachers are expecting kids to do stuff online, and without it, what would I do? I would fail, and I don't want to fail at all. Like, for my civics homework, I have to find an article every single week and write a reflection on it about why it's relating to our civic studies and whether or not there's any bias or whatever. But I wouldn't be able to find this without the internet. I don't even think we get the newspaper anymore, so I wouldn't be able to find the articles without the computer. But I mean, I guess as readers, we do the whole book thing, so I guess that's one of the look up from your phone, do something else kind of thing.
I've had an entire class on the computer. Like, we went to the class, but everything, every file we had was on the computer, except once we had a malfunction, but
Malfunctions are normal. I mean, I think, at least. Sometimes computers can be dumb.
Like, I moved to a new school, and like that school, they use like technology like every classroom. And like I know our AP English teacher, she started using like Google Classrooms, basically to give out assignments. That was like my first time ever really using technology for school.
Yeah. I don't know. I think in just like such a short amount of time, everything has become so like technologically oriented. And I feel like too, I feel like with technology, like all of us probably have a little bit of a different opinion just because like we're on YouTube, so and we've all made like a bunch of friends through it too, which I think like every time I do think like, oh, technology can be bad, but there is like everything, there's pros and cons.
I think, though, technology has its benefits, obviously, but
Yeah.
it also has its negatives. I mean, I probably do spend too much time on the internet, and I probably should go outside more or be with my family more, but technology is just part of my life. I want to be an author when I get older, and so using a computer will be one of my main things. Like, that will be what I need. I'm caressing my laptop right now. That will be what I need as a job. That'll be part of my life. And I mean, it already is now. Man, I was gonna say something, but then I forgot. Looking at the book. Oh, what did y'all think about Rory being the smartest person in the school? I thought that was awesome. How she had like qualified for all 6 or 7 liberal arts classes. She was a hepta instead of a hexa. Hexa.
Yeah, Hexa.
Hexa. I thought that was awesome. I was like, good for you, girl. And intelligence, I think, is something that no matter how far advanced technology gets, you're going to have those people who are intelligent, and then you're just going to have those people who are not intelligent. And technology can't really do much for that. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore.
If there was actually an app like Lux, would you guys use it?
Probably. That's so sad, but I probably would.
It'll really help for like punctuality.
Yeah. I mean, I try my best to be very organized about everything I do, so I'm pretty organized when it comes to what I do. I set up what I need to do a couple days before I need to do it. Like, I know some people probably already do this, but I have an uploading schedule for YouTube, and so I know exactly when I'm going to upload what videos and all this stuff. But I think Lux would definitely help with other things like punctuality, and maybe sometimes when I'm at a restaurant and I'm like, I don't really know what to eat, so tell me what to do, Lux.
I don't think I would use it all the time like some people did, but I think I would use it pretty, like, yeah, sometimes.
I don't know. I think I'd use it like for some things, but I'm always one of those people that like I'm the classic like hater, like hates anything mainstream. So I feel like if a lot of people liked it, at first I'd just be like, no, I don't like this, but I'd probably eventually give into it.
I think it would be great for me because I have a peanut allergy, as I said in the beginning of this, and I'm constantly checking the back of packages to see if it has peanuts or not. And so with Lux, I would just be able to be like, scan. Oh, I can't eat this. I'm sorry, Mr. Vendor. I'm allergic. I don't want to die today. So thank you for your services. I think that would be really helpful. Or maybe someone should just create an app that does that just scans things for common allergies, and then I wouldn't need to use Lux and become brainwashed. I mean, I can't even get that nasal flu vaccine thing, so I'm good. I wouldn't get brainwashed if I was in this society. What did y'all think about North's music?
I Mm, I don't know.
I
I
felt
think
like it was
they included
there in
that
the beginning,
in.
but wait, continue. Keep
I
going.
think they included that in because to record their music in the mausoleum. So like I don't know.
Yeah, like it was there a lot in the beginning of the book, but
Mhm.
then it really wasn't there toward the end. There was that one point though when he had that speaker. This gold or Gemini gold and had it, and that's how they figured out about the high frequency wave signals. But besides that, I don't really think it was there too much. I would have liked to see more of that actually.
Yeah, at first I thought Hershey's boyfriend was one of the band members, but it turned out to be the teacher.
Yeah, I
I kind of
figured it
thought
was
she
the
was.
teacher.
Oh, sorry, Maddie. Go ahead.
Oh no, you keep going.
Okay, I kind of thought she was secretly dating Liam. I don't know why, but I thought like it was kind of gonna be like a just they were just like off, like screwing
Mhm.
around or whatever. But no.
I hated Liam from the beginning. I don't know
Yeah, I
why.
didn't like
He
him.
annoyed me.
What do y'all think about Tarsus actually sending Hershey away? Like, do you remember when she was working for Tarsus to get information on Rory? Suddenly couldn't remember her name. And then she was saying she didn't want to do this anymore, and Tarsus was like, "You have to leave." Like, that's where I feel like there was a little bit of inconsistency in this book, was Tarsus's character.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because she was nice a lot at the end, but then throughout the book she was very rude and didn't seem to care about Rory at all. But she was keeping tabs on her for her dead mom, you know. Um, it's 7:30ish right now, and I feel like we're sort of winding down with everything we're saying. So, do y'all want to make final points, or do y'all want to keep going?
Doesn't matter.
I have to leave at 7:30.
Okay, well, I feel like since we're winding down with our points and you have to leave at 7:30, we could just end up ending at 7:30.
Sure.
Okay, so y'all want to go down the line and just say our final thoughts? Okay, Allison.
Okay, well, I went into this book not really knowing much about it, so I was like surprised at like not every page, but I was surprised with the few main points of it. I really liked the book. I like how it turned out, like I said earlier. The ending sort of still left questions in my head, but it wasn't to the point where I like needed a sequel. I just really liked how everything was left somewhat open, so we could guess what would happen. But yeah, I really liked it, and I do recommend it to people.
Erica.
Okay. Overall, I really liked it too. I liked how, like, she was figuring out the mystery of all of it, so it kept you thinking about it too. Um, that's pretty much it.
Katie.
Overall, I really liked the book. Like Allison, I didn't really know that much going into it, and although I did have some issues with like some of the minor characters, I really loved again like the symbolism and just how intricate everything was, and I really liked how it made me think, and it is the kind of book that I'm still thinking about after I've read it, which for me is the sign of a great book.
Sandy.
Overall, I really liked the book. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I liked how thought-provoking it was. And going into the book, I didn't realize that it was going to be a standalone, so I was really happy to like read something different for a change. So yeah.
And Sophia.
I also liked the book. I love how thought-provoking it was, and after the Q&A with Lauren Miller, I actually appreciate it a lot more because she put so much thought and detail into it with all the parallels and how she wanted it to tie into a larger conversation that's happening right now. And I don't know, I thought it was really well executed in that in that regard. So yeah.
And like I said, I really enjoyed Free to Fall. I thought it was a great standalone. It's very different for standalones. Lately, a lot of standalones are contemporary. Like, it's plain and simple. It's a girl falls for boy. Boy and girl have relationship issues and get together at the very end of the book. But here in Free to Fall, we don't have main focus on romance. I mean, there is romance, but it's mainly focusing on this girl's journey and realizing that she doesn't need all this technology. And I loved, like y'all said, how thought-provoking it was and how much it's made me reflect back on my own life and think about how much I do need technology or maybe don't need technology in my life. So yeah. And since it's about 7:30, would y'all like to announce September's Mystery Bookbuster?
Oh yeah.
I have it.
Downstairs.
Okay. So this month we were lucky enough to be given these books by Penguin to review, which is really cool because Penguin's really cool. Penguin seems like those really up there fancy books like Fault in Our Stars and If I Stay. Is If I Stay Penguin? Yeah? Yeah? Okay. So for our September mystery book, we're going to be reading, drumroll, does anybody want to specifically and we're going to be reading All the Truth That's in Me by Julie Berry. This is a very recent release. Does anybody know, like, the basic synopsis of it?
Nope.
No.
All right. 4
It
years
did have
ago.
a different cover though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you guys probably know. It was like a cover with like a girl and like her mouth was slashed open. Was that the right cover?
Yeah, I think that might be like the UK cover. Maybe that's the hardcover cover.
Yeah.
This is about a girl. 4 years ago, Judith and her best friend disappeared. 2 years later, only Judith returned. Now, unable to speak and ignored by those who were once her friends and family, Judith is forced to make a choice. Continue to live in silence or recover her voice, even if it means changing her world and the lives around her forever. So, we got the mystery in there. We don't really know what's up with this person and stuff. Let's see when this was published. Oh, other books you may enjoy. Where She Went and If I Stay by Gail Foreman.
I really, really dislike those lists.
You're excited, or what?
I really dislike those lists. Penguin does that. They always, in their paperbacks, they always have that list in the beginning. It's like other books you might enjoy. And they're all Penguin books because it's like a way of promoting their other books. But rarely are they similar to the book that you're reading.
Yeah, because from the synopsis of this, If I Stay doesn't sound similar at all. But hey, you know. So, we're not exactly sure on all the details for the live show of this book, but I believe it's going to be on Sandy's channel. Right, Sandy?
Yes, that's what Grace said.
Okay, so it's going to be on Sandy's channel sometime probably toward the end of September, and we'll be discussing All the Truth That's in Me by Julie Berry. So pick up your copy today, tomorrow, sometime in September, and read it along with us. Thanks everybody for watching. I want to wave. And bye. We'll see you next time.
Bye.